universitetet och man kommer runt personer som tar över. Jag är med sig för man gick på den rum. Men jag kan inte vara att det nog blir 4. Den är tid. Jag kan hålla själv från. Helvete. Nej, gick om det. Ja, jag är universitetet och man kommer runt personer som tar över. Jag är med sig för man gick på den rum. Men jag kan inte vara att det nog blir 4. Den är tid. Jag kan hålla själv från. Helvete. Nej, gick om det. Ja, jag är
I wanted to make a video about something, and the idea of making an entire video about a spot came to mind, so I ran with it. I sat on the couch for a second trying to think of what to do, but realized the best way was to just begin. I had in mind a certain kind of spot that I wanted, but when I googled black spot, it resulted in everything other than the stereotypical vision I had in my mind. As I scrolled through the images, I started to lose hope. Then I realized that I could just make the picture myself, so I got out my phone and filmed myself, thinking it would be a nice backdrop for the video if I wanted. But my video sucked and took way too long, so when I threw the clip into iMovie Editor, I sped it up to the point where it started to look choppy, which I didn't think looked too bad. In review, I wondered how many people would wonder at how I held the marker in such odd ways. So I moved on and decided to go back and edit some of the earlier clips as a kind of review to see what kind of material I was working with. And that was when I started thinking the first video looked like a sound wave, so I went on the internet and stole some animations. Again, I couldn't find the one I envisioned. However, making a GIF or GIF was much harder than drawing a dot with a marker, so I settled for some other options available. After that, I just started zooming, cutting, and rotating images. Every now and then, I changed the colors and added more effects. After 10 minutes of tinkering with my video, I was finally ready to begin. I had my spot. It was mine to do with what I wanted. Of course, I wanted to cut it in half, so I tossed the picture in a photo editor and darkened it up a bit before cutting. I smiled and thought that it was turning into a rather nice spot. After cutting the spot in half, I downloaded a white background and pasted 2 halves on side by side. My first screenshot of mirror halves cut off some of the picture. It bothered me, so I took another. Then I flipped it upside down and reversed it for good measure. At this point, I'd accomplished my first idea of making a spot, and my second idea of cutting it in half. What else was there to do, I wondered. That's when I saw a door in my mind in that flipped spot. So my obvious next step was to find a door PNG file, transparency. Once I tried it out, I didn't like the first door I found, so I found a second door. It was red and so much better, so much more. It seemed to be leading somewhere, so I zoomed in. It was then that I realized that I'd have to save my file and zoom in on a second go around, or try to zoom in on the door and the background image at the same time, and I decided that might be faster. So after some minor adjusting, I figured it out on my first, maybe even second try. It was upon the final zoom of that shot where I stumbled upon my unintentional artistic beget of creation, a piece that I now call bar graph. It was beautiful, something I'd never intended. I wanted to put seagulls in the background and imagine their squawks in the overlapping shores. I decided to Photoshop another PNG of seagulls, but wanted an animation for the water, so I looked up lapping water GIFs. Throwing the clips together, I realized that it was segmented and weird and missing some sort of combining element, some sort of cohesive force. But what was it? I knew it was the spot. It was what the video was about all along. So I went back into Photoshop and tried to add the OG black spot, but the background was different white than the white that I had in the original background, and I wanted it to look perfect because I'm a perfectionist. So I realized it might be fun to make the spot as transparency, so I made it a transparency, although it didn't work out the way that I wanted. Alas, it wasn't perfect. I needed a boat. Since I was using iMovie, I could only create 1 layer overlays, so this meant that I had to save and edit the same video a second time. So I copied the clip, opened a new file, saved the clip, and then threw the saved clip back into the original video that I was working on. Then I had to find a boat. I had an image of a clip art boat in my mind, and I was able to find one that was either the exact image or super close, so it was really kind of cool that I was able to find that. Unfortunately, it wasn't a PNG like I'd hoped, and it looked a little weird, just overlaid on top of the water. So this time I successfully made the image into a transparency and added it back into my video. I thought that it looked good, but the island of Rhodes, this word kept screaming in my head, so I Googled it, but nothing popped up, and I thought that it might be good for a video, but then I remembered the Colossus of Rhodes and thought that maybe that's what my brain had meant, so I looked that up, and when I looked up the Colossus of Rhodes, I got another idea, and that was the added picture of the statued kings of Argonath from the Lord of the Rings. I just needed to find a picture with the right angle, and so after I finally found the right image, I screenshotted the picture, re-edited my video, and threw the new picture into iMovie. Of course, I had to still do the new overlay on the picture, so I made a separate video again and saved it before re-uploading the new video into my original video, the video that I've been working on. Oh, also I moved the seagulls and the water bit because I wanted to make the pillar statued kings a little bit bigger. At this point, I'd written quite a lot and made a video around 1 minute and 42 seconds. After some shortening of the pictures, and I wanted to see how long my video would be if I narrated it, so I reread what I wrote and just kind of improvising what I wrote aloud as fast as I could as I timed myself.